But so has Paul George. He has had to shoulder a lot of this Clippers offense, and he stood up to the task.
He has. The primary defender on Paul George when they played this year, young player, Mikal Bridges. That's going to be a terrific lineup, a terrific matchup. But I'm happy for Paul George getting this opportunity without Kawhi Leonard to silence a lot of his critics.
And don't forget about the two roughnecks on the floor, too, because they're going to play that gritty style basketball. Marcus Morris and Jay Crowder. Yes. I mean, they're going to do all the dirty work that you need to try to see who can get an edge to win this game.
We're talking about a youthful Suns team. We're talking about a resourceful Clippers team. What do you think is going to end up being the difference in this one, Jay Will?
Look, I was going to say that the way the Clippers move the ball and how they attack with Paul George can be huge.
All right, game one of the Western Conference Finals is getting ready to start. We will get you down courtside. We'll see you at halftime. Mike, Mark, and Jeff.
All right, Maria, we're down to the final two here in the Wild West as they face off for a chance to play in the NBA Finals. It's the first conference final in this year in 11 years, featuring the Phoenix Suns, the second best record in the NBA, 8-2 in the playoffs, including an impressive sweep of the Denver Nuggets in the second round. Going up against the LA Clippers, down 0-2 in each of their first two rounds, but here they are in their first conference final in franchise history. And good afternoon, everyone. Along with Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Green on hand, Rachel Nichols with us as well. It's such an interesting matchup because it features two teams who have never won an NBA title, but obviously their dream of a championship still very much alive. It also features two teams who right now entering this series are missing their most important player, and their status as the series go on could tell on who it advances. Mark, let's start with the LA Clippers. Kawhi Leonard goes down. Normally that's a disaster, but they win 2 in a row, beat Utah, and here they are. Now, certainly there are a lot of reasons for that. The number one reason was the play and leadership of Paul George.
Well, Paul George is an outstanding player. There's no question about that. He's elite playing on both sides of the floor. The only problem is when it matters most, he's had tough periods, but he embraced this opportunity. No Kawhi Leonard, no problem. Attack mode early in that Utah series, especially in the deciding game. It didn't matter who they put on him. He made the proper adjustments and made plays time and time again. Led this basketball team. And the thing you love about him most, he doesn't just do it on one side of the floor. Embraces the challenge defensively to shut down your primary offensive weapon. Look at the active hands creating havoc on the defensive end. Just a beautiful series for Paul George.
It really was. He played great in those last two games. But in the closeout game, he had major help. Terrence Mann, 39 points as a small ball 5, getting layups and spot-up threes in the corner. And Reggie Jackson absolutely dominated the second half with his dribble penetration and his finishes at the basket. He was special.
Meanwhile, for Phoenix, it's been a special year. You can hear the crowd. They're all fired up. But they begin their most important games of the year without their leader, Chris Paul. And this is part of our smooth move brought to you by Gillette. But without Paul, they've got some young talent that's been pretty impressive in their first playoff run.
Yeah, Chris Paul was absolutely dominant in their sweep over the Nuggets. But this is a tough, talented, confident team, and they're fortunate to have a star in Devin Booker to shoulder the load. He can make the three. He is an adept mid-range player. Here's a left-handed flip shot. And where he's improved greatly is as a secondary distributor. Here finding DeAndre Ayton on the lob. This guy has really played well all year long.
And he's gotten help. You're talking about two other guys tasting the playoffs for the first time. In Bridges and Ayton, embraces effective, efficient, rebounding the basketball, defending at a high clip, setting the tone and taking what the opportunity to present themselves on the offensive end. Stellar job by both young guys.
So we're set to go for game one right now for the first time today. Let's check in with Rachel Nichols. Hey, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Mike. Well, Chris Paul might not be actually in the building tonight, but you know he is not one to just sit idly by while his teammates play one of the biggest games of so many of their lives. So I'm told that even though he's still in quarantine, he has been actively involved in the Suns' game planning. In fact, he and Coach Monty Williams watched the Clippers last game together over an open phone line between each of their respective couches. And he's also been talking and texting with individual players. Jay Crowder told me, quote, CP3, he's been blowing up my phone. Of course, it means that it has certainly been one of the Suns wrapping their last series so quickly. They've had the entire week to prepare here, which is, of course, in stark contrast to the Clippers, who are playing the this game about 36 hours after closing out the Jazz. That's meant to get ready for today. The Clippers have only had time for one build session and a 20-minute walkthrough in a hotel ballroom. In fact, knowing his guys will have tired legs has even changed Coach Ty Lue's strategy for his rotations today. Look for him to cycle up to 10 different players onto the court in the first half to avoid, as he put it, running his guys into the ground. We'll see if that approach works in just a few minutes. This presentation of the Western Conference Finals will continue after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The Los Angeles Clippers are the best team in the Western Conference.
Trouble brewing.
It's your boy, Chris Paul.
This isn't a good story anymore. This is just a really good team.
It's good, Paul.
The NBA Western Conference Finals on ABC is presented by AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, and secure.
I ain't seen a basketball game forever, but I'm gonna check it out.
The beach has always been there for us. As an oasis. Somewhere you can escape to. So it's time we were there for it. That's why Corona's helping clean beaches across the U.S. this summer. It's the first step in our fight against plastic pollution. To join us, visit coronausa.com.
Dr. Nefarious, you lose.
Ratchet, the boundaries between the universes are coming undone. Another comeback.
Look, Cable.
Dr. Nefarious just found himself Emperor of this dimension.
Ratchet, we need your help.
Rated everyone 10 and up.
PlayStation.
Try one-a-day 50-plus multivitamin gummies with vitamin C, D, and zinc for immunity support, plus 8 B vitamins for brain support. One a day and done.
This is the story of two Bills. One is used to things being hard. The other found a smarter way. One does it how it's always been done. The other does it better. So which one is yours? Maximize your savings, invest from anywhere, finance your home for all things money.
Thank you for calling Ally.
When a rock legend